Hey virtual pilots, and welcome to another live stream. This one is going to be challenging without a doubt. We are back in the giddying heights of Papua New Guinea on a pretty extreme landing challenge. We're going to be landing at, let me double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different airstrips today. 4 of which are proper bush airstrips. They are dirt tracks, some of them at some pretty significant altitude. I have, as always, had a couple of glasses of wine, so this is yet again a wine-fueled live stream, and it seemed only fit, given that we were in Papua New Guinea, that we drink a fine Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. I scoured the local Tesco for the Papua New Guinea Sauvignon Blanc, but it was not to be found, so we've had to settle to the New Zealand. Of course, these two countries have absolutely nothing to do with each other whatsoever. But yes, we will be consuming that wine. Hopefully our landings aren't going to get too much worse as we get through that bottle, because the landing strips become more and more and more challenging as we work our way through. I usually start these live streams with everything set up, but I thought it would be interesting to actually get all of this stuff set up whilst on stream, to give you some sense of what the route is actually going to look like. So we will be starting. I've got my notes here on my phone. So starting in a strip called Moro. That's a relatively big airfield, actually. I should say I've got custom airfields add-on scenery for all of these airstrips. This is all available completely free of charge. It's freeware scenery that is available from flightsim.to. I have forgotten to leave a link to that in the description, but I will add it in. ATMA, you rock, mate. Yes, you rock too, sir. Good to have you on the stream. Right, so the destination is AYRJ. But we are going via a few detours, including AYMH. We're flying in the Kodiak 100 today, and the beauty of that aircraft is that because it has the default G1000 in it, when you create a flight plan in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it automatically uploads it and will save me a heap of time not having to dial that in manually. Right, so AYAK, AYYZ, that one. Add you in. AYPR. Add you in. So that should give us our route. About an hour and 9 minutes. It's gonna, I mean, that's an hour and 9 minutes with you just flying that on autopilot. We're actually going to be landing all of these strips, so it's going to be a little touch longer than that. A great opportunity, actually, given each of the legs between each of the airstrips is about 20 to 30 minutes. Going to be jumping in and out of VR. I still can't see chat in VR, but that's okay, because I'll put the autopilot on. I'll come back here and have a jolly good natter with you lovely folk. So that is our route today, 372 kilometers. The altitude of these airstrips varies anywhere from sea level all the way up to, I think, 5,300 feet is the highest. But these are all challenging airstrips. Let's get that loaded up. I hope you're having a great Sunday evening, virtual pilots. Cheers. It's a cold and dark start in the Kodiak. Should be cold and dark aircraft. I don't think we want to fly that at night. So let's just exercise our divine powers and change the time completely. 7 o'clock in the morning seems like a jolly good time to start. Right, without further ado, let's get in the aircraft and let's get started. Apologies, the HP Reverb G2 has decided to go to sleep, which messes up all of my settings on the video display. Just give it 2 seconds and it should sort itself out. Or it won't. Not a problem. This is Fred, by the way. He will be my companion for the evening. Doesn't do too much. I'll just check all the audio is working. It appears to be. Grand. Yes, he's my silent companion. He's quite welcome company, actually. Don't want people who are talking too much. Let's just make sure we've got enough fuel on board. So we are doing quite a journey. Don't want too much. We don't want to end up excessively heavy. Right. Let's get the master switch on. And our avionics, as always with the Kodiak, we're going to pull the breaker for the standby HSI because it is a frame rate hog. And we'll get that horrible sounding alarm off. Looks like our flight plan is loaded in. Okay, let's get our fuel on. Oh, now the video has adjusted itself. Right, 2 seconds, I'll sort that out. Okay, it is not easy capturing VR on a stream. Right. Get the fuel firewall in. Let's get our fuel pump on. And going low start. Waiting for NG to get over 14%, which it is. Introducing our fuel. And then we're waiting for ITT, which is the temperature to peak, and then start dropping back. There it is, and go high RPM on the propeller. We get the extraordinarily annoying fuel pump off, and our generator and our alternator on. Okay, we've got a good start. And this is just about one of the best quality freeware airports that I have downloaded. It really is sensational. It would probably help to get some lights on. You happy, Fred? You seem happy. Very quiet. It's like a quiet confidence that I can see. So, 20 degrees of flaps down trim. The Kodiak 100 loves to pitch up. Let's go full rich, taxi lights off, landing lights coming on, heels down. Airspeed is alive. G's and P's are in the green. 60 knots rotate. Lots of right rudder. Lots and lots and lots of right rudder. Pitch for 71 knots. Best rate to climb. She's a very, very mountainous area, Papua New Guinea, so you want to get some altitude in pretty quick once you're airborne. Start bringing the nose down. Start picking up some airspeed. Absolutely stunning part of the world. Just completely untouched by mankind. It's just absolutely beautiful. Right, that's 85 knots. First notch of flaps coming out. 90 knots. Second notch of flaps coming out. And bringing the RPM back to 2000. We will be cruising at 11,000 feet on the first leg of our journey today. We want to be about the 105 knots there or thereabouts for a good rate of climb. We're not going to follow that route quite as directly as it suggests because we'll be going over the very highest point of that ridge. And there's a slightly lower part that we can just sneak our way through if we're very, very sensible about it. Okay, coming up on 5,000 feet. Looking good. So the first airfield that we'll be landing at is the biggest airfield in Papua New Guinea. It's a big airport. We're not going to stop there. We're going to do, it's got a very long airstrip, and the Kodiak 100 is masterful at getting airborne very quickly. So we're going to do a touch and go. But there's a reasonable leg between where we are and arriving there. So once we're at altitude, we'll get the autopilot on. Thought it might be fun to look up some fun facts about Papua New Guinea. If memory serves, I believe it is one of the very few countries left in the world that still has active cannibalism. And we will fact check that, of course, and debunk it if it's not true. Just getting some trim in so that we can alleviate the back pressure on the yoke. I mean, this is just stunning. As I've mentioned many times before, these flights are inspired by a fantastic YouTuber called the Missionary Bush Pilot, a chap called Ryan, flies the Kodiak 100 for real in Papua New Guinea. Absolutely incredible channel. And just a sensational pilot, frankly. Do go check him out. He does awesome content. He does a whole load of like fundraising as well for the area of Papua New Guinea and the people that live within it. A really stand-up guy. And it's really difficult to represent for you lovely folks on the stream just how sensational this looks in VR. It always looks a little bit jumpy and choppy, the image, and it couldn't be anything further from that for me. But I mean, that looks absolutely stunning, absolutely incredible. I've made a small modification to my Reverb G2. I've got one of the facial interface phones from VR Cover. That's given me slightly better field of view. It's made a reasonable difference, actually. I was a little skeptical. I'd read mixed things about it, but I would say, having used it for the majority of today, it's made a substantial difference, actually. So if you're owner of the Revision 1 Reverb G2, God, that's a mouthful, isn't it? The Revision 1 Reverb G2, as opposed to the Revision 2, which has got the new facial interface material. Don't buy the VR Cover stuff for the Revision 2. It isn't compatible with it. But if you've got the Revision 1, it's very comfortable and definitely made a difference for me on my field of view. Okay, coming up on 10,000 feet. Let's start bringing the nose down. Start building some airspeed. Okay, let's get some oxygen on. A little fin here at 11,000 feet. Okay, that's looking good. Tony Dark Zero might give this a go tomorrow. I've been binging on the Cessna 310. Ah, yes, as have I. It's a very, very, very good aircraft. I do have a real soft spot for bush flying, and yeah, I mean, you're not going to do a lot of bush flying in the 310R. Great aircraft as it is. Do seem to have a bit of a problem getting videos. Something happens when Windows Mixed Reality kicks in. It makes the video or the output something to do with the capture card. It just skews it a little bit. There we go, that's better. But yeah, we're just going to cut through. If you look on the terrain here, there's a high spot there and a high spot there. So we're just going to sneak in between those two ridges so that we don't have quite so much height to lose once we come out the other side. Let's have a look at some Papua New Guinea facts whilst we've got a little bit of time to kill. How's the audio of the sim relative to my voice? I'm conscious that that ends up a bit loud sometimes. Dial it back a little bit. It would be good to get some feedback from you on stream about what the audio volume is like. Let's have a look. Papua New Guinea. I'm doing this live on stream. I haven't pre-prepared this. Papua New Guinea facts. 23 interesting facts about Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea has 851 languages. Fascinating. Not surprising, I suppose. It's like places like the Philippines, where my wife is from. There are lots of regional dialects. Papua New Guinea has 5% of global biodiversity. That's bonkers. And again, it's so untouched by human beings. It really is, you know, it's got to be as important from an ecological standpoint as things like the rainforest are. Even though Papua New Guinea has a total of 1% of Earth's total land area, it has 20,000 plant species, 800 species of coral, and over 650 species of fish. There we go. You heard it here first. Papua New Guinea has the world's third largest rainforest. Oh, it's as important as the rainforest. Of course it is. It has a rainforest. Papua New Guinea is home to one of the world's very few poisonous birds. That's really interesting. Papua New Guinea is home to the hooded, I'm going to butcher this, pitohu bird native to the country. But this isn't your average bird. It's one of Earth's very few poisonous birds. Because that hunters are cautious to preserve the birds because they kill many parasites and are fantastic for the ecosystem. Really interesting. Capital city is Port Moresby. Established 1873, 360,000. I mean, that's the capital city, 360,000. I'm quite an introverted fella. It kind of sounds heavenly, living in a country where the biggest city is smaller than the town that I live in here in the UK. Papua New Guinea is home to hundreds of ethnic groups. Many of the locals have ancestry that dates back thousands of years. Yeah, it's very tribal. More than 1,000 cultural groups in Papua New Guinea. It has a tropical climate. Copper and gold are the island's primary resources. That's really interesting. Wow. Number 10's really staggered me. The country has a GDP of $25 billion. Wow. I guess because so much of the country is tribal, living in very sort of traditional huts in extraordinarily remote areas, that I guess the concept of an economy is slightly yeah. That's really set me back. That's like the same sort of money that like very large companies in the UK take. And that's the entire country's GDP. That's absolutely mind-blowing. Let's just steer ourselves to the left here a little bit. Make sure that we don't go careering into that ridge. Right, what other facts have we got about Papua New Guinea? What VR headset are you using? Also, what would you say is your favourite GA aircraft in the sim? Currently using the Reverb G2 after quite an extensive effort to get it working well. It is the best headset that I've used. I've used the Index, the Quest 2. I've also got the I've just drawn a complete blank, the HTC Vive Pro 2, and I've found the Reverb G2 to be the best. It's not the easiest to get set up, so I mean, if you've got a good day to get it up and running well, it will work well, but it, in my opinion, I know I get lots of comments on some of the videos that I've made that other people have had different experiences. I accept that. I'm on Windows 11. That's probably been part of the problem. But I did not find it plug and play, but once I did get it working, it was awesome. Favorite GA aircraft? It's a close call between the Cessna 310R and the aircraft that we're flying in this flight, the Kodiak 100. They're very, very, very different sorts of aircraft. I mean, the Kodiak 100 is a bush aircraft through and through. 310R, as I like to refer to her, a very quirky bird. She flies far too fast down into airfields. She's very easy to stall if you're not careful, but not a big fan of airliners. You know, I find those are kind of like, it's like punching buttons. I like aircraft that you have to know and understand in order to be able to fly them well, and that's why I like both of these aircraft, because they are most certainly that, without a shadow of a doubt. Right, more Papua New Guinea facts. Britain, Australia and Germany occupied Papua New Guinea until 1975. That wasn't very nice of us, was it? Papua New Guinea shares the world's second biggest island. Over 80% of Papua New Guinea's population lives in rural areas. No big surprise there. What else have we got here? Papua New Guinea used to be part of a prehistoric subcontinent called Sahul, or Saul. Only 10,000 years ago, due to rising sea levels, Papua New Guinea and Australia separated from each other. Papua New Guinea lies on the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is an area that is very prone to volcanic activity, and eruptions on the Ring of Fire tend to be devastating. So if it's not the poisonous birds that are killing you, it's the Ring of Fire. Papua New Guinea is a world-class birding destination. Papua New Guinea is home to tree kangaroos. What on earth is a tree kangaroo? Honestly, I've just opened this. Since 1990, Papua New Guinea has been home to the tree kangaroo. This is the golden-mantled tree kangaroo. Many scientists suggest that the golden-mantled tree kangaroo, its numbers are low due to hunting and destruction. Human beings being awesome and not. The flag of Papua New Guinea is red, black and yellow. That I did know. During the 20th century, the two territories linked up to form Papua New Guinea. Britain, Australia and Germany's colonial administration decided to create a flag, but the islanders disapproved. Papua New Guinea has the highest rates of crime in the world. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's not especially easy for the old Bill to get there. That's enough Papua New Guinea facts for now. We will return. Some of those were really interesting, but we need to start getting ourselves prepared for our touch and go. So for those that have just joined, we've got a not sensible fit of wine, which is a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. I did scour the local Tesco's for the Papua New Guinea Sauvignon Blanc, but I'm afraid they were out of stock. I in no way made the poor lad look for 30 minutes for the Papua New Guinea Sauvignon Blanc in the back. I wouldn't be that cruel. Right, back into VR, folks. So I will come back and chat to you in a little bit. Well, that's an inconvenient location for us to be in, isn't it? Okay, we've got a bit of altitude that we need to lose here. As I said, we're doing a touch and go at this airfield, and then we're going... It's a very, very big airfield. Consider it a warm-up for the more interesting airfields that we will be doing later. Round about the 5,300 feet mark, the airstrip, if memory serves. So we're coming up on 8,000, losing a couple of thousand feet per minute. You right there, Fred? You doing good? I'm worried about you. You've gone a bit jaundiced there, Fred. I'm worried about your health. Do you need a sick bag? Doesn't say much. I'll follow this river round. You see that stuttering is still going on in the sim. The development team seem to have gone very quiet all of a sudden on... they were doing pretty well monthly developer updates. And they did, to their credit, set an expectation that they were going to step back the frequency of those. I think the comms generally, the community comms for Microsoft Flight Simulator are very, very good actually. And they did openly talk about, I think, a sense of the team feeling a bit overwhelmed, fatigued, dare I say. The relentlessness of all of the updates, all of the comms that they were doing. So they were talking quite openly about the need to scale that back some. This stuttering issue is, I know it's number one on their list of things that they're looking at. Since not the previous world update, but the previous sim update. And you know, and it's not a frame rate problem. I've monitored the frame rate quite carefully in the sim. The frame rate doesn't seem to change. It is an out and out stuttering problem. This road, I rather suspect that we can see here, is going to lead us to where we want to go. We're looking for an big airport, and there's a road. It's a pretty safe bet that it's going to lead to where we want to go. Get some trim in. It's just incredible. Wish it was possible to do like the mixed reality where you could have a third-person perspective camera. If you look back in some of my older videos, you can see me doing Beat Saber and a few other games like that. It's the best way to help you understand what being in virtual reality really looks and feels like. This is, I mean, beyond immersive. It's absolutely sensational. So next leg of our journey, we're going to be 8,500 feet. We've gone over the highest ridge that we have to deal with on this evening's track. And there's the airport just in front of us. Start losing some speed because we're quite fast. Okay, we're about 1,000 feet above the airfield. First notch of flaps going in. Second notch of flaps going in, go high RPM. Final notch of flaps. Some right rudder in, compensate for the torque of the propeller. know what on earth is going on with these Pappy lights. It's saying we're low, but it looks spot on to me. Not bad, but it is a touch and go, as I say. Why, thank you, FS Realistic. Always nice to have your approval on our landing. £1,500 of torque should be plenty. And we're airborne, lots of right rudder. 71 knots, best rate to climb. The next one is not a nice long convenient airstrip like that. The next one is a crazy difficult airstrip to land on. Start building some airspeed. There's 85 knots. And 90 knots, and bringing the prop back to 2000. Okay, 105 to climb. 8,500 feet should be plenty for us on the next leg of our journey. Now, some of you may be wondering why there is a crocodile featured in the thumbnail of this video. The last airfield that we are landing at this evening is notorious for being surrounded by crocs. Not only is it notorious for being surrounded by crocs, it is notorious for being surrounded by elephants as well. So there is a jolly good chance that we're going to have a go around. For any of you follow me on Twitch and you saw the stream I did in the Okavango Delta in Africa, which is an add-on from the same studio that made the Kodiak 100, Simwork Studios. They randomly have animals walking across airstrips. Just an awesome add-on. Okay, looking good. Stunning view. Just gonna get our FS kneeboard out. Just a couple of notes that I would like to make. Namely, the elevation of these airfields. I've tried to drag that and just drawn a line down the middle of it. That's quite funny. So Yoka says he's intending on upgrading his setup soon, ultra-wide monitor and Warthog HOTAS. I think ultra-wide's a great choice. The Warthog depends what sort of aircraft that you're flying, and it's a great HOTAS for sort of military-based aircraft. I personally found the buttons a little difficult to push, and I think that's because they've modelled them on the real thing. I'd really encourage you to go and look at Virpil controls. It's a little bit more, but it's probably worth it. If you're going to sink that sort of dosh, I would seriously consider looking at Virpil, or there's a Chinese company whose name escapes me, and my friend Ben will be cross because he's really into that stuff, but there are some other choices. Just a thought. South Island, I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, I apologise now. Pew, great work, mate. Could you try doing a low altitude challenge with airports? Yes, I can certainly consider doing that. Right, let's return, shall we, to our Papua New Guinea fun facts. The indigenous people settled in Papua New Guinea 50,000 years ago. Interesting. That's difficult to comprehend, isn't it, really? 50,000 years ago. That is bonkers. The rest of us were living in caves. They were leading the high life in a beautiful place like this. No, it's not long before I'm going to have to jump back in. We've got a landing coming up. Tribal initiation is still widespread in the country. There's a picture here, and I can't share it because I haven't got it set up, but there's a guy who looks like he's smoking something very interesting. The Mount Hagen Cultural Show is the main tourist attraction. Okay. Oh, we've reached the end of the fun facts. I'm still staggered by some of these, though. The poisonous bird. It's the tree kangaroos. When I get a little bit more time between flights, I really am going to have to try and find out what these tree kangaroos are. That is awesome. Alright, apologies folks, we're going to have to jump back in. It is not going to be long until we are... In fact, it's pretty well now. We're going to have to start our descent. Oh, sorry folks, wrong button. Get the right one now. Hopefully not to find ourselves implanted in a mountain. Hello, Fred! I swear you're looking more and more jaundiced every time I see you. My flying's not that bad, Fred. We'll be alright. So like all of the airfields that we're landing at today, this is a handcrafted freeware airport downloaded. All of these airports are based on analysis that people have done looking at the Missionary Bush Pilot's videos. Do go and check him out if you've not seen his videos. He does this for real. I just pretend at doing it. We've got a ridge to overfly here. And then the airfield is pretty well in front of us. Right hand traffic pattern here. All of the airfields, all of these very remote airfields in Papua New Guinea, they all have traffic patterns. Many of them have approach plates. It's an interesting mix flying in Papua New Guinea. It's part IFR, part VFR, part dark art. I can see the airstrip just in front of us. We want to be getting down to around about 5,600 feet. Just absolutely beautiful, stunning landscape to fly on. There is the airfield in front of us. I mean, we're effectively doing an overhead join. So all of those principles still apply. We're doing a right turn onto downwind. There's not flaps going in. And this is when the challenge starts. About halfway through our New Zealand bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. So let's see how I do on this landing. Steep turn here. We're a little low, so putting power in. We need to be 5,600. Making the turn. There's the marker. We're looking good. A little bit low, but not too much. Looking good, looking good. Got the airfield in sight. On the fast side. I'll take that. Not bad. You see the use of the flaps coming out when you've got that steep incline which you're using to slow yourself down. You want a reasonable amount of speed as you come in so you can maintain control authority on the aircraft. The risk of that is that you float on the airstrip. The way of dealing with that is to, as you take the throttle to idle, take the flaps out. Okay. I'm just going to check the elevation of our next airstrip before we depart. Okie dokie, right, sorry, I've got some notes here. So the next one's at 5,000 and the one after that is... No, the next one's at 600. So we're about 5,000 feet there or thereabouts at the moment. The next one is going to be 600 feet. It's a low one. Okay. Just having a little rest, folks. Quite a lot of effort goes into those very challenging landings. Let's get back on it. You're new into the stream, welcome. Happy Sunday. Cheers. It's 10:15 in the evening here in the UK. Okay, hopefully you're still with me, folks. How you doing, Fred? It's an awful long time for you to be very quiet. Yeah, so 600, we're 5,200 feet now. The next airstrip is 600 feet, and it is not very far away. So short field takeoff, keeping the toe brakes down, introducing the power slowly. We don't want her to, you don't want so much torque and power that she breaks herself loose from her brakes. You can see her wobbling around with the power. She's a powerful aircraft. Okay, airspeed is alive. T's and P's are in the green. That's 50 knots. Rotate. Lots of right rudder. Lots of right rudder. And left hand turn. 71 knots. Best rate of climb. Flaps coming out. And 2,000 RPM on the prop. Get our oxygen off. Not needed that for a long time. We can climb at a slightly faster rate than that. Okay, getting some trim in. 7,000 feet feels like a good altitude for us to be at. We'll just sort of weave our way through this valley here. More of that stuttering I was talking about earlier. It's not bad enough that you can't fly in the sim. It's annoying enough that it's immersion breaking. Not enough distance, I'm afraid, folks, for me to be able to come out of VR and have a natter. We're very quickly going to be getting ourselves set up for our next approach. Just incredible terrain to fly in. Starting to lose altitude. As I say, I've got a very, very soft spot for bush flying. What other game or simulator has modelled the entire world in it? It is absolutely incredible. I should let you all know, Northern Ben, if you've watched any of my Phasmophobia streams or videos, you quite often see him playing Phasmophobia with me. We have got a round the world tour in the planning, and make sure you're subscribed for that. That is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do that in different aircraft depending on the particular leg of a journey that we're making. So we'll follow this valley round. We'll try and avoid losing much more altitude. You're never going to get bored flying in Papua New Guinea, that is for sure. Very, very, very dramatic landscape. follow this river round. There's the airstrip. We're going to be making a very sharp banked turn in this valley, effectively doing a 180, so we should consider ourselves on the downwind leg and want to be getting that first notch of flaps in. Start bringing the speed off. We want to be below 120, which is the speed we need to be below for the second notch of flaps. Now we're 1,000 feet above the airfield. We're looking good. Bit of power going in, we're a little bit slow, lots of right rudder needed, maintain that altitude, a little bit too steep in the turn there. Okay, we're a little bit too far to the right, and that's okay, that's all correctable. There's the airstrip just there, a little bit low, put some power in, start gaining some altitude. A little bit low and a little bit slow. There we go, looking good. These are challenging approaches. There's 80 knots. I don't want to get any slower than that. Oh, way too fast. That's looking good. Alright, go idle.
Touchdown. Oh, my body was shaking.
Oh, mine too. Mine too, Fred. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. It's getting a little hairy. We got a little low at one point, but we're about to get onto the final leg of our journey. This is where we're gonna come into a strip that is got some crocs in it. Oh, in fact, we've got two more to go. Let me just double check the altitude. What am I flying? Yes, it's a Kodiak 100. It was Quest. Quest as a company was bought by, I'm going to mispronounce this, the Hire. I've got terrible VR hair. Look at the state of that. Eco Juliet says, I just started a world tour in my then completed leg 2 from EGNM, and I'm only in Greece. Well, you've got to start somewhere. Any progress is progress, right? Right, let's check the altitude. AYPR 2,300 feet. Okay. And as memory serves, there's an interesting turn around the mountain that you have to do to get that one in. But we are getting very close to coming into Croc Alley, the final airstrip on our stream for this evening, which has got a crazy approach. It's got alligators or crocodiles right on the threshold of the runway as you come in, and then there are elephants from the sides and at the back. It's not what you would expect to a normal runway here in the UK. Right, I think it's time for us to crack on. Let's get the final couple of legs of this bush adventure done. It does seem to reset with some very interesting positions when you come... Oh, wrong button again. Sorry, folks. Oh, there we go. That's better. Right. Or left, depending on your preference. Right. 20 degrees of flaps, high idle. Let's get some forward trim in. We're going to want to pitch for 71 knots, turning left, avoiding those mountains. Let's get our toe brakes down. Bringing our power in slowly so that we don't break her loose of her brakes. Heels down. Airspeed is coming alive. T's and P's are in the green. There's 50 knots, rotate. And right rudder. Oh, she only just made it. Woo. 71 knots, best rate to climb. Banking to the left. start dropping the nose down, gaining some airspeed. Well, that's looking good. Very challenging areas to fly in without a doubt. That's 85 knots. 90 knots. Bringing the prop back to 2100. Start our turn to the left. Looking good. Okay. Follow this valley up and then we can cut round and through. The rate of climb's looking good. A little bit more vertical speed. The synthetic vision on the G1000 is so helpful when you've got the nose pitched up high like this. You can't quite see the horizon. The synthetic vision is a great alternative to that. Okay, autopilot coming on. Looking good. We'll climb up to 8,500 feet. I want to tell you, Fred, I'm really worried about you. You don't look right. We've been up here for hours. You've not said one word, and yet you become all enthusiastic and celebratory of my landings. And then I'm talking. Will you look at me? You won't even look at me when I'm talking to you. It's not right. You just can't get the passengers, can you? think we'll level off at 7,000. No need to go all the way up to 8,000, I don't think. So we're on the very, very last stint of our stream this evening. I hope you're all well, wherever in the world you are this evening. Having a jolly good Sunday. For those that have just joined, given that we're flying in Papua New Guinea, I've got the closest thing that I could find, which is a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. I did insist with the folks at Tesco's that they must have a Papua New Guinea Sauvignon Blanc. They had a jolly good look in the back, but just couldn't seem to find it for some reason. They're flying in Papua New Guinea this evening, bit of bush flying to keep us out of trouble. The very final airfield that we'll be landing at is a sea level airfield, pretty well surrounded by alligators, crocodiles and elephants. And as we've discovered from our random facts of Papua New Guinea, they have tree kangaroos in Papua New Guinea. It also feels like it's become a little bit of a can you land when you're slightly inebriated challenge. I've had a full bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. Well, when I drink this glass, I will have had a full bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. Can I continue to nail what I think have been some pretty reasonable bush landings? We've been streaming for the best part of an hour and 45 minutes. I think we've probably got 15 or 20 minutes or so left to go. And two very, very, very challenging landings still left to do. All of these landings are inspired by the missionary bush pilot. If you haven't watched his YouTube channel, a great chap called Ryan who flies out in Papua New Guinea, do go and check his channel out. Literally just called Missionary Bush Pilot. Absolutely, I mean, he does this stuff for real. He is a phenomenal pilot. Very, very, very highly recommended. It's really nice, actually. Just there's been a bit of an absence of releases, new aircraft, airstrips. Development team have been a little bit quiet, and you'd think that was a bad thing, but it's actually enabled me to do is just spend time enjoying flying the sim. It's been awesome, actually. As great as all of these updates are, sometimes it's nice to just get into the sim and just do some really cool flying. It's interesting, bit of a personal update for me. I'm actually starting a new job next week. Starting that on Wednesday. Looking forward to that. New challenge. Very exciting. Working at IT, for those that don't know. So yeah, really looking forward to fresh challenge. Life's extraordinarily busy at the moment. I've got 3 beautiful daughters, Mrs. Virtual Reality Pilot, the brains, frankly, behind all of what goes on here on the channel. She's the one that comes up with all the good ideas. And new job starting. I also, interestingly, volunteer as a scout leader as well. So helping young people have amazing adventures and get outdoors. So my life is pretty ram-packed with stuff at the moment. Just trying to find the opportunities where I can get into the flight sim and make some content too. We're going to jump back into VR in a second. We're getting into the last leg of our flight this evening. I'm not gonna come out of VR between the next landing and the one after. They're quite close to one another, but I will stick around for a couple of minutes afterwards at the end. If you've got any questions, if you want to have a natter, please do let me know. Okay, got a little bit of altitude that we need to lose. Here the airstrip is around about the 2,300 feet mark. I've got a little way to go. So following this valley round, so helpful with the G1000 and all the information that you get about the terrain is very, very, very helpful. So, I mean, the terrain is close to us, but I mean, we're at 5,000 feet. You could comfortably fly at this altitude in the UK and pretty well be clear of anything. Not so here in Papua New Guinea. I'm often asked the question about, given all the peripherals that I've got, don't you often find that you hit the wrong thing or touch the wrong thing because you can't see what's going on? Pilots who fly real aircraft, lots of what they do is based on muscle memory and the familiarity of a cockpit and knowing where things are. Absolutely the same is true of flying in virtual reality. Get yourself a decent sim pit, make sure everything is in the same location every time you fly. Muscle memory just kicks in, and even if you're hopping from aircraft to aircraft to aircraft, because you've got everything broadly in the same place, you're able just to reach out, a little bit of feeling. It's good practice, frankly. I mean, you want to be looking out of the cockpit, not looking down at your controls. You don't look at the gear lever in a car when you need to change gear, right? It's a thing that you do. There's the airstrip. Okay, how do I want to tackle this? I want to go round here. Now this one is a challenging one. I suspect we're going to need to gain some altitude to get over this ridge, then come back down the other side. Yeah, that's fine. Some power in. I have some quite steep turns to make in a second. First notch of flaps coming in. Follow this valley round. That should get us pretty well where we want to be. You good, Fred? He just looks away from me when I try and talk. Bless his cotton socks. Right, I want the second notch of flaps coming in pretty soon. I'll start taking that power out. Some altitude to lose. There is the airstrip. We're looking good. I'm very happy with that. It is all about the setup on the approach. She's got a very steep incline on this particular airfield, so power management is key. Getting the flaps out is key. It's very, very steep airfield indeed. Right, let's get that final notch of flaps in and get ourselves set up for 80 knots. Right, rudder going in. A little bit slow, some power going in. That's it, 80 knots, looking good. Happy with that. A little bit fast, power coming out. Woof! She is a steep incline. And going idle. Nice, that reverse thrust is key on short fields like that. Very happy with that. Not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. One to go, folks. One to go. We haven't crashed yet. Right, 20 degrees of flaps. Forward trim. Mountain straight in front of us. We're going to be turning to the right. Go. High idle. Bringing our power in slowly so she doesn't break free of her brakes. Okay. Airspeed is alive. T's and P's are in the green. 60 knots, rotate. Right rudder, right rudder, lift. And 71 knots, best rate to climb. Not bad. These are challenging approaches and departures. Be under no illusions. I would strongly encourage you, if you're getting bored of your flight sim, go and have a go at doing this sort of stuff. It's not for the faint-hearted. Start building some airspeed. That is 85 knots. 90 knots. Bring the prop back to 2000. Climb at 105. Let's talk back to 1600. Okay. We are on the last leg of this journey. Despite copious amounts of beautiful Sauvignon Blanc, we appear not to have impaled ourselves on the side of a mountain. And 7,000 should be perfectly fine for our final leg. In fact, I think 6,000 should be good enough for this final leg. Maybe even 5,500. We do actually have an approach plate for this airfield. So let's bring that up on the old FS knee board. looking grand. That last and final leg, and it is a short one. And this is where we land in Croc Alley. If you've not tried out freeware scenery add-ons, so easy to get started. So as difficult as downloading something, unzipping it, and dropping it in the community folder. I really do recommend having a look at, there are some fabulous creators out there. They've done some really great stuff. It really, really, really is worth checking out. This is our final landing of the evening, folks. Not a bad little run. These are all challenging airfields. Gonna start taking the power out. Start our descent. And remember, as you're coming in for a landing, power for descent rate, pitch for speed. It's counterintuitive. I personally find getting in that mindset from quite early on, as in quite far out from the airfield, is a good thing to do. Marking our airstrip. So effectively landing in the swamp here in Papua New Guinea. I can actually see the airstrip just there in front of me. We're about 5,000 feet. The airstrip is effectively sea level. So we have got some height to lose, but we've got plenty of distance to do it in. This is one of the airstrips that's a little bit easier to see as you come in. Alright, gonna start taking more power out. Passing 3,700 feet. We started at about 7 o'clock in the morning here, Papua New Guinea time. It's now 9:03, so we're a little over 2 hours into this flight. As always, it's all about the setup. Every good landing starts with a good traffic pattern. And yes, Northern Ben, we love a good traffic pattern. getting ourselves to about 1,000 feet. About 1,000 feet to go. The airfield just there. So we're on a downwind leg. First notch of flaps in. We're a bit on the high side, so we've got some altitude to lose. But we're wide as well, so that's okay. We're looking good. The airfield in sight. You need to keep eagle-eyed for the crocs as we come past. High RPM. And we are looking good. A bit of right rudder. Start our turn onto final. And keep an eye out for the crocodiles that just inhabit. Probably a little tricky to see, but they are there. That final notch of flaps in. 80 knots. There's the alligators or crocodiles or whatever they're called. We're fast going idle. Avoiding the alligators, avoiding the dude. And taking the flaps out. There's some elephants there just in front of us. And this is our final destination for this evening, folks. Right, parking brake is on full feather. And go fuel cut off. Lights coming off. Fuel off. And power down. Cracker door. A nice little touch about Papua New Guinea. You crack your door and you hear that. It's just so incredibly immersive in VR. I cannot begin to tell you what a sensational experience it is. I've really, really enjoyed that flight. So that's the end of the flight this evening, folks. I've got dreadful VR hair. As always, I hope you're very well wherever in the world you are. Stay safe in the skies, and I will see you in my next one.